Hello mathematicians, we are looking at continuing our work on sequences here. And we're going to look at something slightly trickier than what we've done before. This is looking at the nth term of a sequence. I'm going to explain to you what that means in a second, okay? And then we're going to use that to find any term, okay, in a sequence, any term at all that I want to. And you're thinking, okay, well, what is all this nth term? Well, here's a nice, simple, straightforward sequence: 4, 7, 10, 13, 16, okay? And well, you'd find that very easy if it then said to you, the question said to you, okay, find me the sixth term. Well, I've got the first, second, third, fourth, and fifth terms. It wants me to find what the sixth term is. Well, I know that it's going up in what? It's going up in threes. So on, I'm not going to bother writing that out. So I can tell you that the sixth term, the one after this, is going to be 19. Okay, just add on 3 to the fifth term. And then it might go, well, okay, let's push them a bit harder. Let's see if they can work out what the 10th term is going to be. Well, I guess if you were being if you had nothing else to do in your day, you could probably just keep writing them out. You could say 19, 22, 25, 28, 31. So we've got first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, 10th term. So the 10th term is going to be 31. Okay, then the examiner's probably going to be in a bit of a miserable mood when he's setting this exam paper, and he's going to go, okay, well, if you think you can do those ones, how about this one? How about work out the 937th term? Well, I mean, there's not enough time in the day to do that, to keep adding on 3 blah, 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 until you get to 937. Not the first, not the second, not the fifth, not the 10th, but the 937th. I haven't got time to be bothered doing that. So we need a quick way of working out, okay, what the 937th term is in our sequence, okay? And that's where this nth term comes in. That's why it's so amazing. Okay, so here's our sequence again. 4, 7, 10, 13, 16. Ignore the one down the bottom here. We're going to deal with that one in a second, okay? Now, to work out this nth term rule, we have to do several things. The first thing we do, okay, is we work out what's the common difference in my sequence. What's happening here? And I can tell you, or you can tell me almost certainly, that it's going up in 3s, plus 3 each time. So I need to do two things with this number, with the number I've got here. It's a positive 3, okay? It could be going down, so it could be a negative, but in this case, it's a positive. So I write 3, and then I put a little n next to it. Okay, now don't worry about what that n means for the time being. We're going to talk about that in due course. But to start with, you take the number here, it's positive 3, so I put that next to a little n. The second question I ask myself is, well, what's the most famous sequence which goes up in 3s? Which sequence is there which goes up in 3s and it's really famous? I'm hoping some of you have realized that, of course, the 3 times table goes up in 3s, and okay, and that's pretty famous as far as I can tell. So when you've worked out what this goes up in, it goes up in 3s, I want you to actually write that times table up above the sequence, okay? So whatever this is, if it's going up in 5s, you'd write the 5 times table. If it was going up in 10s, you'd write the 10 times table. But this time, because it's going up in 3s, I write the 3 times table up above my sequence, okay? And then it's simply a case of saying, okay, how did I go from this 3 times table to the actual terms of my sequence? And I'm hoping you're spotting this immediately. How did I go from the 3 times table to the actual terms of my sequence? And I'm hoping you're thinking plus 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. 6 plus 1 is 7. 9 plus 1 is 10. 12 plus 1 is 13, and so on. And I take this number here, whatever this was here, and I put it next to my n bit here, okay? And that's it. Here is my nth term rule. Okay, I'm going to understand what this means in a second, but I need you to be able to get to this stage where you can make this rule. Okay, so we've got 3n plus 1. And where did the plus 1 come from? It said, how did I get from my times table that I wrote down to my actual sequence? Okay, Let's try the same thing for this sequence down below here. I do it in the same colours for you. So the first question I ask is, what's it going up in? Okay, what is it going up in? Well, the answer here is plus 6. See, it's going up in 6s all the way. So that tells me two things. The first thing it tells me, 6 next to the n. The second thing it tells me is to write which times table up above here? Yeah, the 6 times table. 6, 12, 12, 18, 24, 30. Okay. And then finally, I ask myself, okay, how do I get from my times table down here to my actual sequence? Make sure you do it this way around. I can't tell you how many people do it the wrong way around. You're going from the times table to your sequence, from the red numbers to your sequence. And what have I done? This time, I've subtracted 1. Okay, 12 take away 1 is 11, 6 take away 1 is 5, 18 take away 1 is 17. So what do I put here? Yeah, you're right, minus 1. And that's my nth term rule. And these things in the boxes here are going to help me find any term in these sequences, okay? Any term at all I like. And let me show you how. Where have we got to? That's not the right button. This button. Oh. Here we go. Okay, I want to use my nth term rule. Now that I've worked it out, I want to use it. Note, I should have mentioned this earlier, that we also call it the position to term rule, okay? Any position in the sequence, I can find out that term, but don't worry about that too much right now, okay? So I've got an nth term rule. Here it is, 4n plus 3, just like I made here. Okay, just like we made our rules here, we worked out what the rule was. I've got one, they've given me one here. Okay, 4n plus 3. And all this means, okay, this n here, simply stands for what position in sequence, okay, which number, the 10th number, the 50th number, the 937th number, as we looked at earlier, the 2000th number, which number in the sequence am I looking for? So, if I was looking for the 10th number, say, the 10th term, 10th term, okay, all I do is I substitute in 10 for this n. So it would be 4 times 10 plus 3. What's 4 times 10? It's 40. Add the 3. 43. So the sequence which has got this as its rule, okay, would have 43 as its 10th term. What about if I was looking for its 50th term? Well, I would do 4 times by 50 and add 3. And I happen to know that 4 times by 50 is 200, and then I add 3, so that's going to tell me that the 50th term of this sequence was 203. Okay? So now they've just changed the word here. Instead of saying nth term, they just said position to term, but it's the same thing here. Okay? So we've got 2n minus 4. So maybe they said, maybe this time they want me to work out what's the first term. Okay, what's the first term of this of a sequence with this as its nth term rule? Okay, well, I do 2 times by, what's the n going to be? Well, it's the first term, so just 1. Take away 4. 2 times by 1 is 2. Take away 4 is negative 2. Maybe again they ask me for the 10th term. So I would do 2 times by, 10. Take away 4. And 2 times by 10 is 20. Take away 4 is 16. Okay? So once I've worked out what these nth term rules are, this position to term rule is, like we did in the previous slide, then it's very simple for me to jump to any term I like in the sequence, the first term, the 10th term, the 50th term, whatever it might be, just by substituting in that number for the n. Finally, you might get one where actually they spell it out a bit more clearly. They say multiply by 3 and then add 1. Well, we're just thinking here, if you multiply by 3, that's going to be 3n, and then you add the 1, okay? So you just need to turn this, if you prefer it like this, or if they said to you, they have it in words like this, you can say, okay, well, I want the 100th term, or that will be multiply 100 by 3, and then add 1, and that will give me 301. Okay, so sometimes it's spelled out in words for you like this, but more often than not you'll get it in number format, algebra format like that. Okay, I hope that's given you some idea about how to work out the nth term and how to use it. Any problems, again, obviously come and see me.